I know that people be like, why don't you have an opinion? Y'all got to understand. I'm just hearing about all these things today. I don't know anything else about these people. I never even heard of FD Signifier, I don't think. I don't know anything about Abba and Preach, except I think they're comedians. Destiny, like I said, I've seen them a few times on TikTok. This is all just, I'm trying to just put together the picture right now. If you're asking me whose fault like this whole thing is, it seems like it wouldn't have started if Destiny did not like personally respond to FD about whatever he said about what Killer Mike said.
So I just want to hurry up and get into the foolishness. So I'm going to just hurry up and get into the foolishness.
Oh, no.
I'm not even going to talk about my day or anything like that. So do you know who Kidology is?
No, although I've heard Petty say Kidology a lot of times, but I don't know who that is.
Do you know who Destiny is?
The man with the blue hair.
Yeah.
We talked about him before, yeah. And I saw him on TikTok before.
Do you know who FD Signifier is?
Absolutely not. I don't think I've ever even heard of that person.
Do you know who Abba is?
Is it Abba and Preach?
Yes.
Okay, I've heard of them, but I wouldn't know what they looked like. I don't know what their podcast is about. I know they have a podcast, but I don't know anything about them or their stances or anything.
Okay.
I think I heard that they were funny. Are they comedians?
Yeah. They're comedians of sorts.
Okay, I think that's the thing that I've heard about them.
All right, good. You are the perfect person for this experiment. Today, at the end of the show, you're going to make a judgment as to whether or not the blue hair guy, Destiny, is racist. Wait, why are you laughing?
Because, okay, so, and then am I going to know what you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't think that's
what?
Fair.
I'm going to be the only one answering this question?
Look, I will tell you my opinion after you give me yours.
Okay.
All right.
So I just will never understand why some white people want to say the N-word so bad. Like, what is this desire? Why? I mean, I don't know. Fun fact, I've never said the N-word, ever. Not even singing along with the song. I've never said it. I do not think white people should say it publicly or privately. And I think that, like, fighting to say it is wrong. Like, if you're a white person, you're like, I should be able to say it if I am, in private. I think that the reason that that's problematic is because you know how plenty of Black people feel about this, and you're centering yourself and saying, well, I think I should still be able to do it, regardless of how the people who this word hurts, regardless of how they feel about it. I just think I should be able to do it, right? So I think that that is a huge problem. And it's just purposely like antagonizing people, in my opinion.
But is he racist?
Is he racist? I don't know that man, but I mean, any white person that's fighting to say the N-word, I wouldn't be surprised if anyone said they were racist, but I don't know that man.
But you don't know. That alone is not enough for you to say he's a racist.
That alone, I don't know. But separate from that, I don't think that necessarily, I don't know. But it is racist to say. I think it's racist to say.
But are you not going to make a judgment yet? It's okay if you're like, I would want more.
I'm not going to call him a racist because I just don't know enough about him to call him a racist. But fighting to say the N-word, like, I would put a check mark in the racist column if we were keeping score. But yeah, like, the only things I've really seen from him.
How many check marks would it take to get you to racist?
Maybe 2, 3, I don't know.
What if he platforms a white supremacist like Nick Fuentes, but he doesn't just platform him, he actually pushes back and tells him, like, I think you are racist, and push back. Is platforming by itself saying he's racist, or would you need context where he's like, is he agreeing or is he pushing back? He was pushing back.
Okay, so he was against the white supremacist that came on his show or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he was calling out that man's racism.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put that in the racist checkmark column, only because, plenty of times, like, people that have shows interview all types of people. So I wouldn't put that in the column, but definitely problematic to be trying to fight for your right as a white person to say the N word.
Destiny does not like FD. They don't like each other, right? Do you
Interact
know
on
who?
the same podcast?
Huh?
Do they interact on the same
No,
podcast?
they don't interact at all, which is going to come up right now.
Okay.
Do you know who Killer Mike is?
Yes.
All right. So he did a video. He made a video, and we're
I've
about to play.
only heard. I know who.
It doesn't matter at all. I don't dislike Killer Mike. So he made a video, and let's hear what he said in an interview that had the streets going wild. Ready?
Yes.
We can solve our own problems. I told these children, I gave them 5 rules a day. I said, graduate high school, further your education, get a trade of some type, if possible. Do not have children out of wedlock or until you're married. The other thing was to live below your means and invest in property or stock. Ain't no messiahs coming out the sky. Sorry. Right. The truth of it is we got to take care of us. I was raised by people who were born in 1922 and 1932. And they told me, because these people were born before social welfare, this is what you have to do. You take care of each other. Huey Newton said that, leaders don't decide the revolution is going. It's the people. It's the people. So once the people start making that a habit, we get better. And if we as Black people start doing the right thing economically, living below our means, not projecting this thing of richness, we'll start to enrich our lives by spending more time with our children. We'll start to set up for our grandchildren to be in a better place. But that takes what we told those young men today, discipline.
First, what is your reaction to that?
So just based on what I heard from what he said, I guess like accountability for oneself and just doing certain things to put yourself in a better position, I can agree with. While he was talking, I was like, is he doing that thing where he's not thinking about any other factors and just kind of like, you can do it. But if not, just based on what he said, I didn't have an issue with that.
So that apparently set the internet on fire. And generally, this was the response for people. Killer Mike rapping versus Killer Mike's politics. And people were upset because he was, in their minds, underplaying the system. And I think we have some questions there. But FD goes, Killer Mike 2023, kill your masters. Killer Mike 2023, pull your pants up. And then Destiny responds and says, there is literally nothing that Killer Mike says in the video that every person couldn't apply to their lives. Wealthy YouTubers like FD Signifier like to treat Black people as incapable idiots who can only better themselves if a white savior helps them. Some Black commenters think less of Black people than the most racist KKK or Nazi ever has. All right. What say you?
So like I was saying, when you first asked me my thoughts on what Killer Mike said, while I was listening, I was like, is he not going to think about like the, all the other factors or whatever? But even if you do think about the other factors and your understanding of them, I don't think there's anything wrong with pointing out ways that people who are able can do better, even within this system that we're in, that, there are lots of injustices towards Black people. So I don't know why. So you're saying FD Signifier had an issue with what Killer Mike said, and Destiny jumped in like, why do you have an issue with this, basically?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we talked about this before when we went over the episode that Annalicia was on. I'm not necessarily trying to have that conversation like with a Destiny, but I don't really, I don't know. I wouldn't personally want to have that conversation with like white people against other Black people.
Let me reframe it. Can Black people improve themselves in the current system?
I think that Black people absolutely have some control, and especially in terms of just yourself and your own family and things like that. Absolutely. But when we start talking about like systems, that would be harder, and more people would need to be involved and things like that.
I'm going to ask you again. Can Black people in the current system improve themselves?
Yeah.
Should they?
Yeah.
Should they have to?
Have to improve ourselves?
Should they have to improve themselves?
Yeah, I think everyone should be working on improvement. That's like a thing that, what? This, I feel like it's a trick because these questions are so like,
no, it's not a trick. They are what they sound like. And I want it. So part of what the should they have to does allow for a consideration of systemic issues if you wanted to answer that way. I just didn't want to ask the question in a way that seems like my own framing is making it so you could not answer the way you want at the end. Now,
yeah, we Black people, we should definitely be working on the betterment of ourselves and our communities. I think that that's a huge, like, that's the common goal that we should all have. Like when we're talking about things that Black people should be doing, betterment of our improvement of our communities and ourselves, like that is something we should absolutely do. Are there systemic issues that are making that really hard, especially for some people? Absolutely.
is it odd for a white man to comment on the public tweet?
Didn't he tag? Why did he tag? How did him and FD Signifier get like overlap?
FD made a public post. Destiny was made aware of it, and Destiny responded publicly.
Okay. I don't really think it was Destiny's place to respond to him in that way. But I mean, that's just my like subjective opinion. Objectively, I mean, technically, I guess there's nothing wrong with him doing that, but I wouldn't advise like my white friends, for example, to get on Black people's posts that are talking about how they feel and tell them why their feelings are wrong about something like that. I wouldn't advise that.
All right. So you said Destiny drew first blood.
Yeah, because he could have, if he wanted to talk about that, he could have just talked about it, right? I mean, and of course, there's no like law stopping him from commenting wherever he wants. But if he wanted to talk about that concept, he could have just talked about it on his own. I don't think that he needed to go on to the post and say those things. So the reason the FD, just so that I'm clear, the reason the FD thinks that Destiny is a racist is because of how he responded to that tweet. Basically, like, is that it?
No, him wanting to say the N-word, him platforming Nick Fuentes.
Okay.
That we would have to, I feel like FD should put out a list of reasons why he thinks Destiny is a racist.
Okay. And then it got personal when he like responded to him specifically. Yeah. Okay. I can definitely see why FD would feel some type of way about Destiny coming on his post and saying that, the thing that you put up earlier. Because like I said, if Destiny wants to be helpful and do something in terms of Black people, there are other things he can do amongst his white people that would be more helpful, especially since he has such a huge, probably white audience. But yeah,
I mean, do we get to tell people how to, well, I'll leave that for later. This is what FD said in response to Destiny's tweet.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes.
Destiny, I know you're watching this. I will come on your stream after you donate $25K to community movement builders here in Atlanta to address the Stop Cop City movement. If you drop $25K, I will come on your stream and we can have the most banal argument. I will talk fast. I will be as edgy. I will get into 2008 FD real quick. I will find that energy. I will find that energy for you, Destiny, because you need content. And I've read your Reddit. They want me too. Your fans can love me. Oh, they want it so bad. I can start an OnlyFans off your fans. They want it so bad. So give them what they want. All you gotta do, you got the money. You're actually wealthy. You're actually wealthy. Drop the 25K, Destiny, and I will come debate you. I will come debate Destiny, Nebraska Steve, about Black issues. Because you know that's gonna be a riveting conversation. You know what? You're right. 50K. I'm selling myself short. If Destiny don't invite me on, the other challenge is to everybody else, all my fellow anti-Destiny enjoyers. Until this motherfucker pays the tuition to invite me on, do not talk to this nigga. Do not say shit to him. Do not subtweet him. And most importantly, don't go on this motherfucking stream. Let his channel die on the vine because he is not creative enough to do anything by himself. I honestly don't think it's racism. I think it's just like ego. They're Black fans. Ooh, y'all Black Vosh and Destiny fans. I be seeing y'all.
Destiny says, hey, if you unblock me, I will donate the 10K to the anti-police group that you want me to donate, but I'm only donating 10K because you're not worth 25, 50K, right? I'm only donating 10K. So FD does unblock him, is waiting for him, and then FD comes back and says, 4 days later, and still, can you guys read that? 4 days later, and still no check from Nebraska Steve. After talking all that ish, remember, I didn't ask for this man's attention. I've had him blocked for well over a year. He said he was going to drop 10 racks, then I didn't hear it. Maybe he just wanted me to unblock him. So that FD got impatient, said it was 4 days. Where is the money you said you were going to give? Whatever. Blocks him again. Destiny now comes back to pay the money and realizes he was blocked, sees that tweet that says it's been 4 days, where's the money? And instead of donating to the anti-police force, he donates $10,000 to the police in Atlanta. Let me pull up that.
What?
Sorry for the delay at FD Signifier. This is not highlighted because he's blocked. Some of us work and have busy lives, though. Can't believe you couldn't wait 4 days for your 10K anti-police fund donation. So I went ahead and just donated the 10K to the Atlanta Police Department. And he posted the receipt. Sorry. And thank you for your generous donation. Yup. How do you respond to all of this? We're not done yet. The drama continues.
Did FD respond about that?
Yeah, but what is your take on this?
So my immediate take is like he was trying to troll FD Signifier, like, okay, if you couldn't wait, whatever, look what I did type of thing. I mean, I don't have any thought. This is all really strange to me because
How much do you?
what? I still don't understand. So they're not friends. They don't like each other. One wanted to debate, or I guess Destiny called out FD about Black issues. FD then said he wants to debate Destiny, and if you pay some money, and Destiny is like, okay, I'll pay the money, but then he didn't pay it fast enough.
Yes.
And then he got blocked again. It's just very
wait, let me do it. Killer Mike made a comment about pulling yourself up by the bootstraps.
okay.
FD gets upset about this. Destiny is saying, why are you upset? This is good advice. There's a question in Atlanta about whether or not police is being militarized. And the militarization of police is a huge problem in FD's mind for Black people and Black and brown people, in his words, right? And so there's a training facility being built in Atlanta, and there is a group opposing militarization of police that he is working with, apparently, or at least he wanted people to donate to. And so he was using this as an opportunity to get money for this charity or for this group. And he was like, if you donate it, I will come talk to you, because he wants content.
Right. And the only reason I said how much do you care, because like, and I'm not saying he doesn't care. Again, I don't hardly even know who this person is beyond just now today. But I was just saying, like, why did he block him back so fast? Like, why didn't he give him a few days if he was trying to get this money for this organization that he believes in, you know?
Yeah. I mean, 4 days is a bit long, but yeah, I would have just waited 5 business days.
That's what I'm saying. Like, give it just a few days, like five. I think 5 to 7 days is good for that, for like a huge amount of money, you know? I don't know how much money Destiny has, but for a lot of people, $10,000 is a lot to just come up with the next day. I don't know, but 5 to 7 days. Like, if I really wanted someone to donate $10,000 to my school, I wouldn't just block them back after 2 days pass. I'll be calling their bluff. Like, all right, I'm going to give you some more days. Let's see if you donate. But that's just me, though.
All right. So that is happening. Whose side are you on currently? Just
Neither. So, I mean, if I had to choose, I would be on FD's side, I guess, because I get why he felt the way he felt about Destiny trying to call him out about Black issues. So if I had to be on someone's side, I would be on his. But again, the whole situation to me is just really strange.
Oh, no, I'm not going to push you back on that. I want someone fresh, no weirdness, to make a decision as we go through. And I want to see if you change or not. If Destiny donated to the police, you have given, unless you don't believe the police is bad, which Destiny did admit that he does not think police are bad in the US, right? I don't think all police are bad. I think there are issues in training and about how they interact with different kinds of people, and I think there's a dehumanizing process that tend to go on. All right. So FD then goes up and posts this.
Me looking at Abba and whatever Black fans Destiny has left at this point. So what did Abba do?
Nothing at this point. Well, in my mind, nothing at this point. So FD reposts Destiny's post and says, in a predictable move, instead of paying the fee he needed to get embarrassed, this goofy just solidified his bootleg. I can't say this stuff. Status by donating to the Atlanta Police Foundation as they attempt to build a military training facility and destroy the environment in a Black neighborhood. And then he commented, me looking at Abba and whatever Black fans Destiny has left at this point. So he pulls Abba into this.
Okay, but he didn't do anything yet. But Destiny basically donated from FD's point of view. He donated against the better interest of Black people in Atlanta.
Yeah, and then he reposted something from Destiny's Reddit. Abba is going to come in and do something now. So Abba goes on a stream with Destiny, and they're talking about this. And then Abba, actually, before I go to what Abba said, I noted this in my outline. FD actually calls out Abba. This is Abba. But I'm calling this is Abba and Uncle Tom. You literally have to be Black to be applicable to that term. Abba, if you feel a way, I'll talk to you about it for free. So calls out Abba and calls him an Uncle Tom. Abba went on Destiny. They were talking about it. I'm not about to play because we're like an hour in at this point. Try to guess what Abba does. Abba does. Or seem to have done.
Did he defend Destiny? Or did he... Whose side is Abba on?
Well, you're about to find out. If he gets called an Uncle Tom, whose side do you think?
Oh, wait. Okay. The Atlanta Police Foundation would like to think it's working. Considering you informed me yesterday I wasn't Black. What? So he donated too?
Wait, read it out loud.
FD Signifier, the Atlanta Police Foundation would like to thank us for our contribution. Considering you informed me yesterday that I wasn't Black, I decided to use my newfound whiteness to support our pan-European brothers in blue.
You're not ashamed of yourself? Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
So he donated on behalf of himself and FD Signifier.
All right. So I have to own this now. Apparently, this was not true, and this was a photoshopped image.
I was about to say,
posted.
Those weren't even their names, like real names.
So wait, but what do you think now? What do you think Abba being included means? And do you think he has a right to clap back? And is this a good way to quote unquote clap back?
I mean, since he was tagged or whatever, I can get why he would respond. I don't personally think this is a good way to respond. Like, it seems petty to me.
I woke up to something truly embarrassing. That's what FD says. Whose fault is this? Before we continue, whose fault? Because I feel like you're jumping on the issue, and I think you're afraid to like give your own opinion, and I don't know why.
I'm not afraid to give my opinion. And I know that people be like, "Why don't you have an opinion?" Y'all gotta understand. I'm just hearing about all these things today. I don't know anything else about these people. I never even heard of FD Signifier. I don't think. I don't know anything about Abba and Preach, except I think they're comedians. Destiny, like I said, I've seen them a few times on TikTok. This is all just, I'm trying to just put together the picture right now. If you're asking me whose fault like this whole thing is, it seems like it wouldn't have started if Destiny did not like personally respond to FD about whatever he said about what Killer Mike said. Like if Destiny just didn't like try to call him out about that, I don't think any of this would have happened, if I am understanding correctly.
Yeah. So you think it's like FD's Destiny's fault?
Yeah, I think that got the ball rolling with this whole thing that happened since then.
All right. So FD then comes back and does this.
Okay. From what's it called? Django. FD came back and did that. And then he did that. Okay. So
Abba comes back and explains himself. Can you read these out loud? I think you're reading in your head.
Yeah. So this is from Abba, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Been a joy watching these progressive Twitter activists use every racist slur under the sun because of how upset they are. The best part, it didn't cost me anything. Just use Photoshop to fake pictures and y'all lost your minds. Virtue Signifier about to make another 100 tweets. Oh, this was like 2 days ago?
Yeah. All right. So we're now caught up, hopefully, right?
But so Abba didn't really donate. That was just all fake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think? Wait, let me get this. Let's read these first, because I do have questions. I feel like you're not invested as I am, and I feel
I
like
think it's
maybe
because
this
you
is
know more about, like, you have a longer,
yeah, but yeah. Go ahead.
you have like a longer history of information about these people. So like you have more invested, whereas like I'm still trying to figure it out. But I think like just I'm trying to look at it objectively based on what I found out today, and
Yeah.
it seems really. It just seems it's one of those things where I'm like, what? Every once in a while, like I'll hear about certain stuff that happens on YouTube between people, and I'm like, is this real? Like this is really what people are doing? I don't know.
I They said because I like mess. Weird. All right, go ahead. Prince Petty said, "Thank you. I have a strong. You can join because
Tell me to call in. I was asking
you-
if he was going to be here.
yeah, the reason you can join is because I don't think it's fair for me to expect Kay to care, and I actually prefer that she doesn't care because this is not something to care about. I care about it, but I don't want anyone else to
Okay,
like.
explain why you care about it so much.
So I think the ideas around identity politics comes into play, and I like that. I like that front and center we get to ask the question of who gets to say what and when, right? And if you think, for people who think Destiny is wrong, they think that only Black people should talk about Black issues, or if white people talk about Black issues, it should only happen in a certain way, right? On the opposite end, I wonder what it means to actually do politics meaningfully to the exclusion of like white people, if that is at all even possible, right? For Black people, regardless of how pro-Black you are. A separate note is it's interesting to see these people highlight how actually they have money. FD, Abba, even though he didn't donate, and Destiny. It's interesting because in insofar as there are people pushing back against capitalism, the question about whether or not they are actual capitalists themselves, I think is fundamentally important. There is a separate question also about agency. Do we believe people have the capacity to grow and become and realize the American dream if they try? Or is the American dream a sort of carrot being dangled in front of you that you could never attain? Is racism the real issue as to why people cannot self actualize? Or is it personal ideas about who we are, like an external versus internal locus of control? I I find this all sort of fascinating, and it's
Yeah.
playing out in such a petty way online that it's hard to look away from it. And people who I thought would have been bigger than this aren't actually bigger than this. They're like very much petty.
And that's everything you just said, like that conversation. Hey, Patty, that conversation I think would be a really good one to have, like around all that you just said, because I think that's an important conversation to have. But in terms of them like going back and forth and making jokes and creating memes, I just don't have that much to say about it. Because like you said, like there was a bigger conversation that could be had, like what you just mentioned.
No, I think it is happening, right? Like it is happening about who polices what and when, why.
But isn't it being kind of like the premise of that, like the concept that you just explained, isn't that being overlooked because people are more now
No,
concerned
the
with
fundamental question about who starts the fight is that question. If you think Destiny was the one who started the fight because of his tweet, you don't believe Destiny as a white man should be able to speak in the way that he did. If you think FD started it by, I don't know, deciding that the money was paid too late or didn't get paid too late, then he started it. He started it. He pushed it further by including Abba and Preach by talking about Black people being friends or subscribers to Destiny. I think all of that is happening all at once, and I do think some of it is being overlooked. But everyone that I see covering it has at least attempted to discuss identity politics and who gets to gatekeep. I don't think that it's possible to have a conversation without thinking about gatekeeping.
I mean, see, even if a Black person would have said exactly what Destiny said, I would have still said that they're the one that started it because they're the one that reached out to someone personally to say something. Like in
I would
terms of
say
getting
calling out
involved.
his hypocrisy.
Huh?
I'm not defending Destiny, but
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
it be seen as calling out his hypocrisy?
No, I get that, but just in terms of like the sequence of events, if I had to say what started this, I'm always going to say whoever started personally talking to the other person started it. Like, you're allowed to do that. You can talk to who you want, I guess. But
no, yeah, you can talk to someone, but is it automatically you starting a fight if you're pointing out their hypocrisy? Like, on one hand, like, yes, if I say, Kay, why did you do that?
mhm.
Am I starting mess with you by calling out your actions just by addressing you?
So I don't think that it's necessarily a person trying to be messy or trying to start anything just because they call something out.
But by the way, I do think Destiny was being messy, but continue.
I don't think it necessarily means that all the time, but it doesn't change the fact that that's what starts the back and forth. Because if Destiny didn't say anything to him, he probably wouldn't say anything to him. Based on what I know from today, maybe they have a long history of, I don't know. But based on what I know from today, if that wouldn't have happened, nothing else would have happened and this wouldn't have gotten here. Based on what I know from today, that's why I said him, because he set it forth. But
All right. So
hey,
I
Patty.
mean, part of why I didn't want you to know anything and I kept everything from you is because I wanted your honest opinion outside of being too invested.
Yeah.
If you guys remember this, we need to answer this later. Prince Betty, you said you have a question. Can you frame yourself in the thing some more, or you have strong opinions?
Secondly, I'm going to respond to the prompt that you gave in the beginning, which is Destiny racist? And I'm going to do it in order of how you had the discussion regarding Destiny wanting to be able to say the N-word. I think you can make the technical argument that using the N-word doesn't make you racist. You brought up like singing it in songs or something like that, riding in your car alone or something like that, and context matters, of course. He also brought up the majority of his time online arguing against race realists who say that like black people brains are smaller or something like that. And I don't want to discredit his work debating white supremacists. I think that's important. And I don't think it's racist to say the word, but the desire to say it, like everyone else has been saying, is definitely a side eye moment, right? Because why? When you start arguing from such a technical position and you leave out the nuance of human emotion, it doesn't seem like I can't see that being applicable in the real world outside of like a technical argument. Well, technically, just because I say the word doesn't like sure, but I don't think that really matters in the real world. No, so it's not racist, but it does raise an eyebrow. And then you guys moved on to Killer Mike, and it sounded like in his video he's preaching self accountability. He pretty much alludes to the fact that as Black people, no one will hand us anything, and we have to go out and get it ourselves. So pull yourself up by the bootstraps message, right? And FD comments. And Destiny replies by saying something like, FD thinks Black people are helpless. Am I wrong? And can do nothing unless a white savior come along.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
tweet.
already, that's definitely just something he said to trigger FD. I don't know if he believes it or not, or if he's just being contrarian or whatever. But it raised an eyebrow for me because it feels like a straw man. And my understanding is that the argument isn't that Black people are helpless and unable to improve themselves. Now that might be FD's message. So, I don't know, maybe there's more context, but I've never understood
Wait, before
that.
we get to, I feel like I have to take the opposing view now because I can't let that just go without us fleshing it out.
Mhm.
FD is here, so FD can defend himself. There it is. Hey, welcome, and you can definitely come up and defend. Well, not defend yourself, explain yourself. But the question that I have to you, Prince Petty, is what Killer Mike's saying wrong?
No, but it is basic and it ignores that there are barriers in place that make it difficult for Black people to do that. Again, I don't think the argument is that Black people are helpless and we can't do anything unless white people help us, but rather that there are barriers in place. Regardless of if you try or if you don't, as a Black person, there are barriers in place. And you can get over those barriers if you try, but there are barriers in place. And trying won't remove those barriers. So that's my understanding of the argument. The barriers should be removed, not that we should work harder. But we should work harder. Like, I agree with that part.
Wait, see, that sounds almost contradictory.
Nope.
Why would you be opposed to someone saying work harder?
I feel like it ignores a larger context regarding there being barriers in place.
Should
Like
people
in
work?
Mhm.
Do you think we have the capacity to be more and be better in the
Yeah.
current system?
Yes.
Do you think the current system is about to change anytime soon?
Probably not. No, not soon. No.
Should we work harder then?
Yeah, but again, even if you believe Black people can improve in the current system, which I do, and even if you believe Black people can get over the hurdles that exist for us, which I also believe we can, the hurdle shouldn't exist in the first place. So again, my understanding of the argument isn't about how we need to work harder for outcomes, but rather how we should have an equal opportunity in the first place.
So if white people came and said, pardon this, we won the war, you guys lost, it is what it is. Nothing is about to change. Do we just say, okay, because the system is not about to change, are we going to force the change or are we going to survive in it?
Either or. I mean, I don't think you can force it.
No,
If we're
yeah,
talking
no,
about,
I'm not saying.
if we're talking about, when you say force, you mean like a race war, or
No, like how are you going to engage with someone saying do better? Like, are you going, if you saw someone, Killer Mike, say, hey, do better, what do you do in response to that?
it depends on the conversation. Is it, for example, how would you prove on an individual level that you weren't hired because of colorism or because you had a black sounding name?
Exactly. No, I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way. Let's be clear. You're saying that it seems like you're saying it's difficult to say self-improve. So should we not say self-improve?
No, I think we can say it. I don't think anyone's contention was with him saying it. As I said at the beginning, I think it just leaves out a larger context. I think it's important to say, yes, we can improve and we can have personal accountability while also acknowledging that the system exists instead of just saying, well, the system's the system, so don't worry about it.
Okay, so that's the perfect thing. Do you think Killer Mike doesn't say the system exists?
I didn't see it in that video. Well, he said the system exists, but he was like, we can't do anything about it but work hard.
No, well, he didn't say we can't do anything about it. I think that would be unfair to put on him. He's saying don't have kids out of marriage. He's saying go to school. He's saying live below your means. Now, there are valid critiques to this, but you haven't posited. Like him saying don't live above your means is not speaking to poor people, right? Like that's the argument I was looking for from you. Like this.
I mean, even if he was speaking to poor people, when he's saying don't live above your means, does he think that poor people are like, oh, I got my paycheck that's barely enough to live and I spend it all on Jordans and Starbucks?
No, that's what I'm just saying. That's the argument you should have posited. If you're telling someone who is broke, essentially, don't live below your means, they're probably saying, what do you mean don't live below my means? Don't live above my means. I'm literally struggling.
Yeah, I assume broke people like can barely pay for whatever rent or food or whatever, let alone like spending above their means.
Yeah, so that's the argument. What it seems like what you're saying though was, yeah, he's ignoring system. I don't think it is an ignoring of system that's the problem with what he says. I think what he says does apply, but it's not to the most needy, right?
Yeah, so maybe he should have added some context to his message, which is what I said at the beginning.
No, it's not. All right, explain yourself again, because I don't think it's about context.
Killer Mike is preaching self-accountability and alluding to the fact that as Black people, the system is going system and we have to go out and pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. FD commented something unimportant. Destiny replied by saying FD thinks Black people are helpless and can only do good in life with a white savior. This feels like
we're not talking about FD and Destiny currently. We're talking about the message from Killer Mike.
The message from Killer Mike, I think, is fine. I think FD's interpretation of it was that he's saying,
wait, you think it's fine? What were we arguing here then?
We're arguing that the message lacks context. This is why I think FD was fighting in the first place.
So
again, I said in the beginning, it feels like Destiny's making a straw man.
Yeah, no, Destiny's argument was definitely a straw man. I think he was goading FD.
Yes.
Someone said FD here. FD can come up and explain. This is the link. The link is only for FD if he's ready to come up. No one else come up. If you do, I'm just going to remove you. I apologize. All right, go ahead.
I came up because I was drinking wine in the comments, so I just came up to speak.
Patty, do you think so? I said the same thing. I said, like, while I was listening to what Killer Mike was saying, is he ignoring, the same thing you said? Like, is he ignoring this?
We can solve that.
But do you think that, like, if you don't mention the context, it right away, like, means that you don't acknowledge it? So do you think that anytime a person tells or says Black people should be accountable or whatever in terms of certain things, do you think anytime someone says that, they have to also mention the system and all those other things? Or can it ever just be like in good faith that they're saying that and they also understand the other
they can be in good faith saying it. The reason I think context is important is because if I say something like, I think single mothers in the Black community is a problem, and someone from the manosphere says the same thing, I think we're talking about two very different things that can be up for interpretation depending on how you hear it, right? So I should probably add some clarifying words, right, regarding how I feel about absent fathers.
Well, no, that's not how I would approach it, because it feels like you're saying truth should not be said if it can be misinterpreted, and I don't agree with that.
But you're leaving yourself up for misinterpretation. That's what I think.
Well, I wouldn't say that because it would be inaccurate. Like the accuracy of the statement would be my problem. If you say the problem in the Black community is single motherhood, you are now going to have to explain it.
Okay, again, with Killer Mike's statement, preaching self-accountability and pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. Is pull yourself up by the bootstrap inherently, by itself, a bad statement?
Pull yourself up by the bootstrap. Yeah, it's a terrible statement.
I
don't
agree.
think it's a terrible statement by itself.
If you don't have boots, you can't do it. Like, the metaphor sucks.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by
Well,
it's a terrible
self-accountability and
No,
going out to
wait. If you're asking me if talking about self-accountability is important and a good statement, I'm going to say yes to that. If you're asking me specifically about the conservative statement that you need to, quote, pull yourself up by the bootstrap, no, I'm not going to do that with you.
I don't think it's a conservative statement. Well, I think it is a statement that's used by conservative people mostly, but I don't think it's inherently conservative.
I think the statement is, regardless of where it is, I think it's an idiotic statement.
The statement to go out and work hard to improve your life, then.
That is fine.
Okay, that statement, depending on how you levy it, I think can be bad. That is the statement he's saying. He's leaving himself up for misinterpretation.
No,
or maybe not, depending on what he meant.
Like, if you're saying it to someone who is sick in bed, the context matter.
Yeah.
But if you're saying it to a community, then you think it's bad. I now need to know why.
I don't think the statement is inherently bad. I think it's the lack of context.
One second. Abba, what is up?